All right, everyone. Welcome to today's episode of the Ari Louis Show here on Israel National Radio, Route Sheva, and the show is syndicated as the Messiah Hour on YouTube. Go to YouTube and type in Messiah Hour with Ari Louis and subscribe to the YouTube channel. It is free to do so. And you can also find me on JApp. JApp is a Jewish application which features sharing for big rabbis, lectures from historians, as well as episodes of this program. Go to JApp by their website, www.j-app.me. Or you can subscribe JApp from iTunes or Google Play stores. Of course, we have Rabbi David Katz on weekly at a minimum. He is the co-author of the new book, The World of the Ger. On the line right now is his co-author, Rabbi Chaim Clorfene. Rabbi, how you doing out there?
Baruch Hashem, Ari, I'm doing fine.
It's good to hear. So let's get into the book. Why did you and Rabbi David Katz decide to write the book?
Well, the decision was actually made for us, or at least at the inspiration, because the book was needed. This kind of a book dealing with the Torah for the nations from this perspective has been needed, and the Noachides felt the lack. There was a black hole in their spiritual life, because everything that had been done to now, for the most part, with some exception, has been a question of law, of obligation. What is the Noachide allowed to do? What is he not allowed to do? What should he do? What should he not do? And that's important. That's the 7 laws of Noah. That guides them on the path of life that will protect them, that will bring blessings upon them, and could create the ideal social order in mankind, because it's from Hashem. But if that's all you're fed, it's easy to drift away from that. That's not enough. That does not provide the kind of richness of spiritual life that the Torah can provide, and that it must provide, or else people are just not going to really look at it closely.
Okay, so we've talked before, Rabbi David Katz, about the Ger Toshav. He's been somewhat in exile, and when the Jews are in exile, you can physically see it. They're not in Israel, or they're not at a high religious level, or whatever you like to call it. What are some physical signs about the Ger Toshav being in exile?
The physical side is his life. He doesn't have the same connection to Hashem as the Jew does with respect to the land, but he actually also has a connection to the land for his spiritual needs. That's why the idea of the Ger Toshav, what means Toshav? The Toshav is the one who resides, who lives there. And the Ger Toshav, really, the Torah does not use the term Ger Toshav except twice, and once it refers to Jews. The Ger Toshav is a righteous Gentile who's accepted the 7 laws and lives in the land. Now, he can be a Ger Toshav not living in the land, meaning he could be of the level, the spiritual madrega, the legal madrega, of one who is permitted to live on the land, but he doesn't live on the land. And under those circumstances, he's one thing. But if he does live on the land, or if he lives among the Jewish people in the communities, even not on the land, then he is on a higher spiritual level. And he has more opportunities and more obligations.
Okay, do you think that mainstream Judaism does not focus on this concept enough?
Are you asking me why it doesn't, or if it doesn't?
Well, both. If it doesn't, and if so, why is that?
Well, historically, we have been, our exile has been such as that in almost everywhere where there have been substantial Jewish communities, we really were denied. We denied ourselves, and we were denied from the outside any crossover with the surrounding non-Jewish peoples. You could not just run out into the streets of Rome in the year 1250 and say, abandon your way, throw down your cross, here's the truth, come to the Torah, you're dead, and anybody would listen to you any Gentile would listen to you would also be dead. I mean, Joan of Arc might have come, and look what they did to her. So we had to stay away. We were totally isolated. It was self-protection. We did not have to be self-sacrificing at risk of our actual physical lives and the lives of the communities to bring the Torah to the nations. It is our obligation to do that, but not to the level of that the rabbis felt during most of the Galut, most of the last 2,000 years was like that. Things are changed. That's the main point, that things have changed.
And how do you see the Ger Toshav's role currently, and how would you like to see the Ger Toshav's role with the coming of Mashiach, or what do you envision it occurring?
Well, that's a very deep question. What is his role? Well, his role is really it's laid out in the Torah. His ultimate role is to become a nilveh, a companion to Israel, a companion to the Jewish people. And that is the gateway, that is marching towards the final redemption. That brings peace and harmony to the whole world. When that happens, there's no struggle between Israel and the nations. Israel and the nations become one and work together, and in terms of their redemption by Hashem. That is redemption. That's Geula. That's Geula. We have been in Galut. We've been in exile. It's alienation. It's enmity. It's mute. It's this or this, not this and this. And the shlemut, the completion of mankind, is when the Ger Toshav and Israel are on the same page.
Again, this is a Ari Louis show here on Israel National Radio, Root Sheva. The show is syndicated as Messiah Hour on YouTube. Go to YouTube and type in Messiah Hour with Ari Louis and subscribe to the YouTube channel. And, of course, you can email me at messiahhour@gmail.com or continue the conversation with Rabbi Chaim Clorfene. So, Rabbi, let's talk about the book, and that curious of the logistics of putting out the book. Writing the book obviously is very difficult. So tell us the initial stages of how you and Rabbi David Katz wrote the book and what you guys daily did, your daily routines.
Right. Well, basically it was a process of Rabbi David Katz really was the one who dug deeply and hit the wells of Yitzchak, that really the waters came up, Rechavot, about this subject. He made the Chidushim. He really rediscovered the Torah of Shem, the son of Noah. And that was an enormous breakthrough in understanding the Torah of the 7 laws of Noah, because everything really had been kind of stopped with Noah. You go from Noah to Mount Sinai, and that's not the full story, and that's not the story of Geula. That's not what works. You needed an interface between the chaos that came before Abraham, and the tikkun, the Torah that came after Abraham. You needed an interface. That was the alienation between the Jew and the Gentile, is that they need an interface. And the interface was Shem. And nobody looked at Shem. And that, by the way, is what the Torah of Shem is exactly. It's the Torah that nobody looks at, but it's in your face all the time. You never look at it. Your whole lifetime. You never see the Torah of Shem. You never really look at Shem at all. He's just that nice boy. He walked backwards. He put a blanket on his father. He didn't look. No, goodbye and good luck. No, that's not Shem. Shem is a giant of giants. He's the shorish to everything.
And that is where we get the concept, I believe, even Semite comes from Shem, and also if you talk about the lineage from Shem to Abraham and eventually the Jewish people.
No, I'm not. No, Shem is the first Rosh HaYeshiva. I'm talking about the spiritual source, not just the bloodline. Of course the bloodline is there. Abraham is a ninth descendant, son after son from Shem. He's his grandson. I'm not talking about that at all. I'm talking about the source of Abraham's Torah was in the tents of Shem, is in the first yeshiva. Shem is the first Rosh Yeshiva.
And also, of course, Yaakov Avinu famously studied at the Academy of Shem and Eber. Can you tell us about that? Because it's not talked about so much. He learned there for a period of time, I believe 14 years. What exactly was Yaakov Avinu studying there?
Well, first of all, obviously he was studying the 7 laws of Noah, but also he was studying Nevuah. That is what they learned there, was Nevuah. It says in the Gemara that the men of the Yeshiva Shem and Eber, house of Shem and Eber, were great Nevi'im. Things it said in the name of Rabbi Yossi. And when Rebecca was pregnant with the twins, and she ran to consult God what's going on, it says she went to the Yeshiva Shem and Eber, and she consulted the prophets, the Nevi'im, who were in the Yeshiva Shem and Eber. This was a great place. This is the Torah we don't look at. We know this. Everybody, any 5-year-old from Jewish kid knows this, and he knows it his whole life, and he never looks at it. That's what the Torah of Shem is. It has been concealed for 2,500 years at least.
Now, we know that Abraham was a very famous person in his time. We know that people came from all the world to his tent, and people also respect him, even, of course, the non-Jewish idol worship world. Was Shem a famous person in his time? Did everyone know about him, or was he more secret and more in the hidden, if you will?
I think in between. I think it was known there were many. I think it's estimated that, I forget the source, but that there were as many as 42 campuses, if you want to call that the term, 42 yeshivot of the original house of Shem and Eber. One in Nineveh, in Sfat, in Beersheba, Yerushalayim. And I don't know so much. I'm sure we don't know all the locations. And this was the Torah, and it was on an extremely high level. This was Nevuah. That's what they learned. It was Nevuah. And they had a vast richness of the legal aspect, the halacha as well. I mean, we know that Noah knew laws of planting. He knew many halachas in terms of I don't know what would be Shemitah, but the separation of seeds. And he knew the laws of animal sacrifice. I mean, there are only 2, this is in the book, there are only 2 in the whole Torah who are called tzaddik. You know who they are?
Who are they?
Noah and Hashem. That's it.
Oh, interesting.
Noah is I'd say, number 1 underrated, undisputed champion of all time. You know, if he'd been in Abraham's generation, he'd be nothing. No, he'd be something everywhere. He made life pleasant for mankind by inventing the utensils for farming, for agriculture. And that is an extraordinary merit to make the life of man more pleasant and comfortable and easy. That's what he did. And I think maybe in his merit, they're going to beat the swords into the agricultural pruning hooks and plows.
How would you describe Abraham Avinu? Because there's some confusion, because there's an idea he kept all the mitzvot, and then some say not exactly, especially actually go to Yaakov Avinu because he married 2 sets of sisters. which is it's against Torah law, but he didn't exactly have to follow the Torah because before the Torah was given. So that status of people, the Avos, would you consider them a Ger Toshav or consider them Jewish? How would you define them?
Well, that's an excellent question. Well, look, it depends on what you want to call Jewish. Let's start with the second part. I know it's the wrong way to go, but that's what came to my mind.
Sure.
Technically, what we say is Jewish did not exist until Har Sinai, until the covenant, before the covenant, but when the Jews heard Hashem say the Aseret HaDibros on Mount Sinai, after the men had been circumcised into the mikveh, and accepted the Torah upon themselves, and then Hashem spoke and connected and said, I am your God. From that point on is what we actually call a Jew is. And that can be only from the mother or conversion according to halacha. That's what a Jew is. Anything before that, you can have the borrowed lashon of the Jew. You know, it's called, Abraham is called the first Jew, but he is not a Jew at all. He's not a Jew. He had the 7 laws of Noah were his obligations, just like every other person on earth, except plus he had the mitzvah of Brit Milah, of circumcision. So that put him into a new category that never existed in mankind before. That was a covenant, that was a bris with Hashem, that was an enormous leap forward and of redemption and chesed and rachamim from Hashem. It was like the first giant step away from Adam being thrown out of the Garden of Eden.
Now, a lot of times in the Torah, it'll say the word ger. So can you tell our audience, what does that refer to? Does that refer to the ger Toshav, or does it refer to something else?
Well, in Talmudic vernacular, in Talmudic expressions, the ger, plain ger is not used. It's ger Toshav or ger tzedek. There's a big discussion, argument on one side about ger tzedek. However, just for the purposes of communication, I will say the ger tzedek is the convert to become a member of the congregation of Israel through halacha. That's a ger tzedek. Could be a gioret, or a woman, or a ger. That's a ger tzedek. The ger toshav is the one who has accepted on the 7 laws of Noah and has come before a court of 3 God-fearing Jews, and it's like his confirmation. And then, so he's a ger toshav. He can live on the land, and the Jews have an obligation to support him if he needs it. And can be a very close companion of the Jewish people, or a little more distant. But he's a big asset to the Jewish people, particularly in the land. He's a huge asset to the Jewish people in the land. A righteous Gentile is like an unbelievable ally. There is no other real ally but him.
Do you think it's possible that that's why one of the rare supports for the state of Israel comes from the United States, in particular the evangelical Christians, or there's a lot of Christians in general that even listen to this program and they support Israel? Are they a reflection of that, of when you're talking about the ger Toshav?
No, if they are, they have a huge filter they have to go through to be a ger toshav. Their heart could be in the right place, and I think for many of them, they have taken a step or more into the direction of becoming a ger toshav. But it's very hard to be a Christian and a ger toshav, except for maybe Unitarian or something like that. But so long as somebody believes that Jesus is God, it cannot be a ger toshav.
Okay, Ger Toshav has to be a monotheist, correct?
Hashem is Baruch, period. That's it. Nobody else.
Okay, so, and tell us, though, a lot of the Christians that do support Israel, to be a Ger Toshav, what would be that process? What would they have to do?
I don't think the Rambam put it this way exactly, but the sentiment was they're in very good shape. We should draw them with cords of love. All they got to do is tear off the back half of their Bible. That's it.
That's it. So they wouldn't have to go through a ritual conversion for Ger Toshav.
Well, what do you mean like ritual conversion? They don't have to. No, all they have to do is obey the 7 laws of Noah. The first one being you cannot worship, you cannot have idol worship. You cannot worship the way they do. It cannot be a man, whether he is alive today or he once was alive at all and isn't in the flesh anymore. You cannot worship such a being. That is not Hashem Yisborach. That is something else.
All right, again, this is a prophecy. Excuse me, this is the Ari Louis show here on Israel National Radio, Root Sheva. The show is syndicated as the Messiah Hour on YouTube. Go to YouTube and type in Messiah Hour with Ari Louis and subscribe to the YouTube channel. It is free to do so. And, of course, you can find me on JApp. JApp is a Jewish application which has shared for big rabbis, lectures from historians, as well as episodes of this program. And you can find JApp from their website, www.j-app.me, or you can download JApp from iTunes or Google Play stores. If you have any questions, comments, concerns, or suggestions, you can feel free to email me, messiahhour@gmail.com. Any shows you'd like me to conduct in the future or anyone you'd like me to interview, send me an email, and we'll try to make that happen for you. We'll take a quick break, and we'll have more on the other side with Rabbi Chaim Clorfene. Again, this is the Ari Louis Show here on Israel National Radio, Root Sheva, and we'll be right back after this.